Healing from narcissistic abuse. What is the significance of the relationship on a soul level? Understanding the roller coaster that is the healing journey. What is the treasure chest of blessings that come after? Healing from narcissistic abuse is like any journey. It's about the journey, not the destination, especially if we're healing a whole lifetime of it, not to mention generations. Watch this video. Once we've established what a narcissist is, and we've gone no contact, whether that be from a discard from the narcissist or our own ending of the relationship, it's important to know that no contact is just the beginning. No contact is honoring our boundaries, and it's the start of the healing journey. No contact is a tool for self-worth, self-love, and respecting the healing journey. It helps us evaluate the situation for what it really is without our fantasies and rose-colored glasses distorting the true picture. Going no contact is the first step of the healing journey, and it's the first step towards creating a relationship with ourselves that we never had. We need to realize that we are healing our idea of what love is. Like many of us that find ourselves in narcissistic relationships, our idea of love was formed in early childhood, and the dynamics that are playing out with the narcissist are our own unmet needs that we are so desperately trying to heal on so many levels. We are trying to obtain the love, validation, and care that we didn't receive from our parental figures or from our environment, and the narcissist is the perfect mirror to bring about this healing. So if we are attracting narcissists into our lives, it's important to know that either one or both of our parental figures had some degree of narcissism or personality disorder. Now, these are referenced as the cluster B personality group. So that is narcissism, personality disorder, sociopathy, and psychopathy. So, you know, it's not to say that your parent was a crazy axe murderer. This is a lot to do with their emotional wiring. They emotionally weren't available. So we need to look at it as, you know, was our childhood filled with not feeling good enough, or, you know, not having that emotional support, being neglected, being abused, whether physically or sexually. Yeah, there's many characteristics to this, and we need to understand that the relationship with the narcissist is just a carry on of what we experienced of what love is. So we're attracted to that vibration. So that vibration of that narcissist that came into your life is a vibration of what you recognize love to be. And we need to understand that if we actually want to heal this, we need to go to the core of the problem, the root of the problem, which is, you know, which does stem from, you know, what we experience love to be in our childhood. And it does even go further than that. It's really important, if you are going through this stuff, is to get an astrology birth chart reading. It could be something that you are clearing and working from lifetimes. And, you know, you'll see in a birth chart, so where Pluto is, if it's in Libra, or the South Node, if it's in Libra, or the 7th house, or any kind of things like that, we'll be seeing, you know, a lot of narcissism and needing to break free from being validated and being loved by others, and getting that validation to feel loved within ourselves. So yes, there's more to it than just healing from a narcissist. There is actually a lot of work to do. And, you know, thinking that there needs to be a time frame, like you should be over it in 2 months, you should be over it in 2 weeks, you should be over it in 2 years. Not at all. Like, how long was your childhood? How long, you know, how many past lives have you had with this situation? So don't be so hard on yourself. It is really tough, and it might be something that you heal for the rest of your life. And I don't want to sound like a downer and, you know, make it sound like a never-ending healing journey, but we are all here on a never-ending healing journey. Once we heal something, something else pops up. So, and it's like a spiral as well. The healing journey is like, it comes around in a spiral. So once we think we've got it, and then it comes around again, just a little bit different or a little bit more intense to make sure you get the lesson, and it just keeps going round and round until we transform that vibration. So yeah, don't put a time limit on yourself, and be kind to yourself, be there for yourself. I feel like even in my own journey, I was really hard on myself in the sense of, why aren't I over this yet? It's been, you know, longer than what I was with the person. What's going on here? And realistically, it's about that we're healing the initial trauma, not necessarily the one from the partnership. So the partnership is just a catalyst for change. So even, you know, even our parental figures, it is just a catalyst for change on a spirit level. So it's really important that when we are on the healing journey for this, that we are able to look at it from a soul level and also human experience. So, you know, as a soul, we choose our parents. We come down here and we choose our circumstances. And obviously we've had parents that have been like, yep, I'll help you do that because I love you and I care about you. I will treat you this way so you learn how to love yourself and not need external validation. And then so we come into this life and we have parents that trigger all these other wounds from other lives, and then we're here, you know, in these old stuck situations, and then comes along other contracts with other souls, which ends up being our intimate partnerships, and they come along and they also trigger that wounding to catalyze change. And you know, I don't think narcissists are evil people. To some degree, I do think that they've come here, you know, just like empaths have, to be of assistance. So in my personal understanding is that, you know, a soul will come through and, you know, depending on what childhood circumstances, it's usually childhood trauma that will either bring out an empath or a narcissist. Now, you can either go two directions. So from childhood trauma, you can go through and be an empath and be super hyper vigilant, you know, wanting to control everything, making sure everybody's happy so you feel happy. Or you can go the other end of the spectrum from childhood abuse and put yourself in a bubble, shut off your feelings, and then just take from people. So, you know, the empath and the narcissist are both in a state of lack, and that is why they're a vibrational match. So a lot of people think, how the hell does an empath end up with a narcissist? And it's because they're in a state of lack, they're in a state of trauma, they feel like there's not enough, they can't be loved. So an empath feels like they have to give to be loved, and a narcissist takes so they feel loved. Now, you know, these dynamics play out quite a lot, but they are a vibrational match. And I have been, you know, looking into this further, and as I am a therapist and I do astrology readings as well, and Reiki and energy healing, I have come to see that some souls, like depending on the variation of narcissism, some souls I believe are actually here to be a narcissist. I think it depends on their degree of narcissism, depending on the state of childhood trauma and what's happened in their upbringing. But some, I believe, are here just to be that narcissist. They are not able to change. And I think on a soul level, they've come here to help wake empaths up. Because, you know, empaths and these souls that need to evolve and change and love themselves, you know, someone needs to come along and wake these people up. And, you know, who better to do that than a narcissist? Because the empath usually isn't going to wake up and realize that they're pouring from an empty cup. So, you know, a narcissist will come along and help wake you up, help you see that you're just giving all your energy away. So I think it's really important that we do look at this from both perspectives, but then it can make the healing journey a little bit harder. If we're too much looking at it from a soul perspective and unconditional love, it can make it harder to detach. If we're just looking at it from a human level, from a human perspective, we can stay in a state of anger and pain and hurt. So I think it's important that we find a bit of balance. Understand that this soul, this narcissist, loved you so unconditionally that they're coming here to hurt you, to help wake you up. But then also realize that this person isn't going to change. There is nothing you can do to make them change. You have to let them go. There is nothing you can do. And all you can do is just send them off with love and then move on with your life. But another thing I really also want to address is, you know, being in a state of hope. Being in a state of hope makes you stuck in the relationship. It stops you from moving on. So to move on, we really need to be, you know, getting rid of the illusion, getting rid of the fantasies that this person's going to change and they're going to come back and they're going to love you and they're going to understand you and accept you and realize how lucky they were, because it's not going to happen. In most cases, if pretty much not all, they do not see things like that. Unfortunately, that is the soul journey they have taken. So, you know, holding on to some kind of hope that this person is going to change is going to hinder your healing journey and is going to stop you from moving on. If you have a look at your parents, you'll probably see that they haven't changed. Or if you've been in multiple relationships with narcissists like I have, I stayed in relationships way too long thinking that they would change, and they never did. Even now, when I, you know, see them on Facebook or the friends about how they're going, they are still doing the same thing. And you know what I mean? So it's important that you let go. This person isn't going to change. They are the way they are. You just have to bring that focus back to yourself. And then another thing too, when you are feeding it, this addiction to this narcissist, you are also feeding them as well, because we live, you know, in a dimension where we're all connected as one. We can all feel each other when someone's thinking about us, especially with the connection to the narcissist, because they are also extremely hypervigilant. They are also very psychically connected, just like you are, and they're connected to you. You're connected to each other. So if you're constantly thinking about the narcissist, or, you know, going over what's happened in the past, fantasizing about how you'd like things to be, you're also still feeding that narcissist. You're still supplying them with your energy. So it's really important that as you start to heal and once you've got over the acute, really intense side after a breakup or an ending, it's important that you start to stop yourself from overthinking about the situation and end the addiction cycle. Because when we are with narcissists, and because they are never happy and we can feel how low they are, we always think it's something that we've done wrong. So we're always analyzing all our actions, analyzing what they're doing, and you know, that becomes an addiction and a pattern in our brain. So it's really important that we, you know, disconnect from that and stop doing that every single time you start to think about the narcissist. You know, just think, yep, thanks for sharing, and then bring that attention back to yourself. 100%, just keep bringing it back, no matter how long it takes. Start something new. I found on my own journey, you know, like doing belly dancing, doing videos, doing painting, you know, working on the house, things like that have been absolutely amazing. You know, I'm not someone who's going to tell you to go out with friends and go out partying or going out drinking, going out dating, because that actually, I believe, makes things worse, because you meet people that you don't feel connected to, which makes you feel like you're going to be alone forever. Or, you know, you're out and, you know, you don't feel happy and you can't have fun, so it makes you feel even more shitty about yourself. So I think, you know, during a healing process, it's really important just to be there for yourself, you know, like if you're, and that's another thing with the healing journey too, like what's happening internal, how you treat yourself is how people are going to treat you. So if you're skipping out on yourself when you're upset and thinking, yep, I'm just going to go have fun, I'm going to forget about what's going on, there's an internal little child that you're skipping out on and ditching. And, you know, then as a vibration, because we live in a law of attraction, you know, universe, we're going to meet people who do the same. So they're just going to skip out on us because that's what we're doing to ourselves. So it's really, really important that we're 100% validating ourselves, 100% being there for ourselves, and, you know, focusing on our creativity. Like, because when we're doing something creative, when we're doing something positive, or focusing on our passions and bringing our attention back to ourselves, that makes the healing journey so much easier, because it's so much more rewarding as well. And I think, you know, from not this recent ending with a narcissistic relationship, the one before that, I had to be 100% myself. I realized that from that relationship, I wasn't doing what made me happy. I wasn't being Alesha. I was just a people pleaser. I was being what everybody else wanted me to be, or whatever made everybody else happy. Because I thought, oh, if they're happy, then I'll be happy because I'll just do what they're doing. And no, not at all. I had to quit my job where I wasn't even being valued, and then start, you know, studying at uni full time. And I also started my own business and doing my own healing and just doing exactly what I wanted to do. Even the way that I dressed, I was also, you know, worried about how everyone looked at me. And, you know, when you've always been quite spiritual and a bit of a hippie all your life, I think I always felt like I had to hide it and, you know, fit into society. So that was another thing. Like, after that relationship ended, I dressed exactly how I wanted to. I said exactly what I wanted to, and, you know, I did exactly what was making me happy. And I feel like if you can implement some of those things in your life, you know, that will make a massive difference. And I do believe, depending on the characteristics of the narcissist, they will kind of show you what you need to be doing, where you need to take a page from their book. So yes, I think it's really important that we make massive changes to be closer to ourselves and who we are as a person in an ending with a relationship. So the most recent narcissistic relationship that I was in, which wasn't very long because I was very aware of what was going on, it definitely made me love myself more and realize my worth. I don't think I realized my worth up until that point. So I think every narcissistic relationship has, you know, a key to what you need to change. So yes, it's a good thing to do is to go back and reflect on that relationship, and what page out of the narcissist book do you need to be adding to your book. So another really important aspect about healing from narcissistic abuse is the belief that the narcissist is happier or happy with somebody else. Now, this is highly, highly, highly unlikely. Narcissists are probably the most miserable people on the planet. They are never happy, and they don't have the ability to be happy either, because they are disconnected from their feelings and they don't feel anything. They're disconnected from everything. They don't get simple pleasures and joys and happiness and love like everybody else does. So being under the impression that they're happier with someone else, or they're moving on and they're really happy now and their life's great, is absolutely incorrect. Narcissists will never be happy. Nothing will ever be good enough. Nothing will ever fill that void. They don't realize also that they need to fill their own voids themselves. They're in such a state of lack that all they know how to do is to take. So they're constantly taking, and because they don't appreciate anything as well, they hold no value to anything. Nothing is ever good enough. So if you see an ex-partner, or if you see, you know, somebody that you were with and they seem happier and, you know, they're with somebody else, that person that's with them is going through exactly the same thing you were. They were put up on a pedestal and then they were degraded and treated like absolute rubbish. So the best thing to do is not to focus on their happiness. Like, that takes away from your happiness and being under the illusion that they're ever going to be happy. These people are not happy. They're seriously the most miserable people on this planet. So please be rest assured that happiness will probably come from you, not from them. So another also amazing thing to do for yourself is to not look at their social media. Now, I know you might think, oh, I just want to know how they're going. They're in my life for so long. I just want to see if they're okay. I still care about the person. The best thing to do is to not look at their social media. You don't want to see the new people that they're connecting to or what they've been up to, because that's just going to hurt you. Even if you feel like you're over the person, even though you feel like you've disconnected or you've moved on with your life, it's important not to do that, especially in the early days if things are still very, very raw for you. And especially when you're addicted to somebody, it's very hard not to, you know, want to see what they're doing or connect to them in some way, but all you're doing is further hurting yourself and keeping yourself stuck. I know along my journey, I've gone and checked his Facebook or whatever. It's all it did was put me back for a few days because it made me sad about what they're doing. Even though I knew at the bottom of my heart and in the back of my mind that that person will never be happy, it was still the fact that, well, why can't they be upset? Why can't they be hurt? But the thing is, they don't feel anything to be hurt. They get hurt about how they feel. Like, they don't feel like they've lost you or they've lost something. Well, they might feel that in a sense of energy, because obviously you're just an appliance to them. So, you know, it's a hurt in the sense of energy, not hurt in the sense of you were an asset, they loved you. It's just that, oh, my ego's damaged, I'm not getting fluffed up as much as I was, I'm not getting recognized as a person. So that's a bit damaging for them. But straight away they've got this, you know, rebound, you know, aspect about themselves where they just need to get more energy. It's not because, you know, they're in love with this new person they're with, or, you know, this person makes them happy. It's literally a lifeline so they can survive, because they have, you know, no sense of self. They have, like, their internal aspects about themselves, their inner child, who they really are is so suppressed and just does not exist anymore. So, you know, sometimes they could have some entity or some other being or ego running this outer shell that is what they present to the world. And so they need other people validating that. So they need people saying, you're amazing, you're really smart, you're really good looking, you know, you're so helpful, you're all these things, so they feel validated. Even if it's, you know, negative validation, it's still, you're still validating that they're a person, and this front that they're putting on or this mask that they're wearing is being noticed, and it's something, because they want to be something. So yeah, it's realistically the best thing to do is to just not focus on them at all. And as much as it's tempting to see what they're doing on Facebook or go on their social media or their Instagram or whatever it is, do not do it. Do not do it to yourself. Do not put yourself back for a couple of days just for the sake of a narcissist. Just know in your heart that they're never going to be happy. They're never going to be fulfilled. It is a miserable situation that they have chosen. And at the end of the day, I do believe that they have chosen that either from a spirit level or from a perspective as they don't want to change. They don't think that it's possible, or they just don't want to, because they're fulfilled, you know, with that energy that comes through. Even though they have highs and lows, don't think that they don't hit rock bottom, because they do, but they just bounce back because they'll just get supply and energy from anyone. They'll take energy from anyone. It's, you know, they're not selective. So a really important part of healing from narcissistic abuse is to understand that it's an addiction, just like any addiction. It was probably more of an addiction than what it is love. So we need to look at it. So like alcoholism or drugs or something like that, along those lines, those healing processes are the same as what needs to be implemented from healing from narcissistic abuse. And know that the narcissist was probably addicted to you as well. They're addicted to having you there, addicted to having that supply, whatever characteristics about you. So yes, the narcissist was probably just as addicted to you as what you are to them. And the healing process is one of understanding escapism. So escapism is when, we just don't want to be part of our bodies. We don't like who we are. We don't even know how to be ourselves. We have no boundaries. We have no self-worth. So we put all our attention and love into helping and fixing somebody else. But that is just a signal that we need to actually be doing that for ourselves. So what is going on here is that we need to be asking ourselves the question of, why can't we be present in our bodies? What is going on for us that we need to be escaping and running away to a narcissist, distracting ourselves with a narcissist? And understanding, like the scientific side of it as well, and, the chemical reaction in our body, because when we're with a narcissist or in, highs and lows of relationships or roller coaster dynamics, and, when you've been in childhood trauma, it's very easy to get accustomed to or addicted to, trauma and the arousal jag of trauma. So when we go through, traumatic experiences, intense experiences, it's quite a low. And then, when someone tries to make it up to us, or things are good and things are looking better, we get these, a dumping of chemicals into our body, a dumping of hormones, like of cortisol or, dopamine, that gives us a bit of a rush and excitement, like, oh my God, things with the narcissist or my partner are going to work out, things are looking up. And that doesn't happen, as you know. It's just it's a repeat cycle that never stops going. And we need to understand that we can be addicted to those chemicals that are produced at that time. So when we end things with a narcissist, it can feel like such a relief, like, this terrible part of our lives, all this trauma has left. But if you're somebody who's also experienced childhood trauma, you are going to feel like this lull and the downtime when you've had too much of it is, oh my God, who am I? What am I doing with myself? I'm lonely, I'm depressed, I'm, all these things. But, and then so you're wanting to go back to the narcissist or reconnect with the narcissist, and that is not a good idea at all. All you're really needing to do is to connect to yourself. Your mind is misguiding you as you need to go external. We really need to be going internal and loving ourselves and being that for ourselves. So, like at this time, understanding that it's an addiction, like any addiction, that we can't run away to the narcissist. We need to go through the process of an addiction. So it's like, there's no point messaging, the narcissist. You don't message your drug dealer or the guy at the bottle shop to see how they're going. You know what I mean? You just don't do that when you're, trying to get over something, or you're ending an addiction to something. Even if like you were somebody who goes to the pokies, you wouldn't, call up the staff and, see how they're going, how are the machines running. Do you know what I mean? You just wouldn't do that. You'd just completely distance yourself. So it's really important to treat the healing process from a narcissist like an addiction, because it is an addiction. You've been addicted to the highs and the lows, and, skipping out on yourself, not being there for yourself. And then when the person's gone and you're left with all your own internal pain and all your own feelings and all your own childhood trauma and all the things you haven't been facing in life, it's really easy to just want to run away and escape to that. So it's really important that we do treat this like a healing journey for an addiction. So in correlation with relationship addiction, there is also trauma bonding. So trauma bonding keeps you also stuck in the circumstances keeps you stuck in that roller coaster of trauma and feeling like you can't disconnect or you can't break away. So if you've experienced childhood trauma as a child, I know that I did. I experienced a very neglectful, violent childhood. So I have a lot of trauma bonding. So that makes me more susceptible to trauma bonding as an adult, as you know, that is what I thought love was. I thought love was violence. I thought love was neglect and somebody not being emotionally present or, you know, abusing you. That's what love was to me. So if you can identify with that, or if you had any form of childhood trauma, you are more susceptible to get trauma bonds in intimate relationships. So in narcissistic relationships, we get trauma bonds from the appalling behavior that they show and all the terrible things that they do. That creates a trauma bond, not only to us, but also to them. It's a state where you connect to each other through trauma. So it is quite an interesting dynamic. I will do a separate video on this one, but it is really important to heal this trauma bond. So there are some amazing meditations that you can go and listen to with, you know, unhooking these trauma bonds and disconnecting them from you. You really need to go back to early childhood, and even in a sense, you know, like I said earlier, getting an astrology birth chart reading to see what past lives you've had and how you're here clearing that, and you know, how you've been hurt before in past lives and from your childhood and to this point now. So yes, there's a lot to do with trauma bonding. So yes, there's also Eckhart Tolle, who's really good in the sense of explaining the pain body, and how when, you know, we've experienced a trauma in our body recognizes that. It kind of, you know, sets a blueprint for that and creates pathways. And then if you have a thought of trauma, then the body starts to create and reenact that trauma within your body and keeps you stuck in that trauma. It's just like a patterning. So the best thing to do is to probably then go check out Eckhart Tolle. He's, you know, pretty good with that stuff. But yeah, besides that, I'll do a video on it. But yeah, there's some fantastic material out there for healing trauma bonds. That's really important. Like, don't forget that one, because that does, you know, kind of leave a little bit of a hook in you and keeping you stuck and keeping that trauma bonding for such a long time going. So yes, that's pretty much it for me. I would just like to say that lastly, that it's so important to be so grateful for what you've gone through with the narcissist. And I know that it sounds absolutely crazy, but it is absolutely true. Like, I know myself personally, I am so grateful for the narcissists that I have been with. Like, I wouldn't be me, I wouldn't be the Alesha I am today if it wasn't for them. And you know, look, I would tell them, but I don't think they would appreciate it. I don't even think they would care. But at the end of the day, the best thing to do is to be grateful. Grateful that they showed you who you were and who you needed to be. Grateful that they helped you create boundaries and love yourself and have some self-worth. Because without them shaking your life up, you know, you wouldn't be in this position. And look, I don't know where you are on the healing journey. Me saying that might really be really triggering for you, because you still might be in the early stages where you're still very hurt and you're still upset. And I wouldn't tell you to just wipe that away and just be really unconditionally loving when you're not in a place to be doing that yet. If it's serving you right now to be angry, if it's serving you right now to be hurt, so you stay away from them, definitely keep going on the track you're going. And when you are ready, 100% ready, then you can move into a state of, you know, gratitude and thanks, and use unconditional love for that person that showed you who you needed to be. But yes, that'll be it for me. So thank you so much for watching my video. If this related to you in some way, please subscribe to my channel, or if you think this could help someone, please share it. All in all, thank you so much, and many soul journey blessings.